At first glance, many men go through life believing a simple idea that if a woman does not complain in the bedroom, then everything must be fine. But this belief gets shaken when a deeper truth is revealed that silence is not always satisfaction. And that is exactly where this story begins. Because the question at the center of this discussion is not just about confidence or performance, it is about perception, misunderstanding, and the hidden psychology of intimacy that most men never get taught. And the title alone, something like this proves she is satisfied in bed, or what she actually thinks about your performance, immediately triggers curiosity because every man has had that quiet moment of doubt where he wonders if she is truly enjoying it or just going along with it. And that uncertainty becomes the starting point of a much deeper exploration into female psychology, emotional safety, and the unspoken language of intimacy. And in this narrative, there is a guide figure, an intimacy coach named Magda Kay, who often speaks directly to men and women about relationships and sexual connection. And she begins with a simple but uncomfortable truth that many men assume they are good lovers simply because they have never been told otherwise. And when she asks men about their performance, the most common response is that no one has ever complained. Yet she quickly challenges this idea by pointing out that the absence of complaint is not the same as genuine satisfaction. Because in real human behavior, silence can come from many places, including discomfort, emotional restraint, or even a desire to avoid conflict. And this is where the psychological layer begins to unfold. Because women, according to her explanation, do not always communicate their true experience in the bedroom in a direct way. Not because they are dishonest in a malicious sense, but because communication around intimacy is shaped by decades of emotional conditioning, cultural pressure, and social expectations that have influenced how openly desire and dissatisfaction can be expressed. And to understand this fully, the narrative shifts into the idea that there are women who may not be enjoying sex, but will never say it out loud. Just as there are women who are deeply satisfied, but still remain quiet. And this contradiction confuses many men, who assume that verbal feedback is always an accurate reflection of experience. But human behavior is rarely that simple, especially when emotions, pride, and vulnerability are involved. And this is where the coach explains that women often hide their true feelings not as manipulation, but as protection. Protection of the partner's ego, protection of emotional harmony, and sometimes protection of themselves from uncomfortable conversations. Because in many relationships, the bedroom is not just a physical space, but an emotional one, where both people carry insecurities about performance, attractiveness, and acceptance. And so, silence becomes a tool to maintain balance, even when it does not fully represent inner truth. And to deepen this idea, the narrative steps back into history and social conditioning, explaining how, in many societies, women were not always given freedom to express sexual desire openly, where discussing pleasure or dissatisfaction could once carry shame or judgment. And even though modern relationships have changed significantly, remnants of that conditioning still influence how comfortable women feel speaking about sex directly. And this is not framed as blame, but as context, because understanding behavior requires understanding environment. And in contrast, men are often socialized differently, where sexual confidence is sometimes tied to identity, ego, and self-worth, meaning that feedback in this area feels especially sensitive. So women become more cautious in how they express themselves. And sometimes this caution leads to withholding truth or softening reality in order to avoid hurting their partner, which creates a gap between what is said and what is actually felt. And this gap is the core reason why relying only on words can be misleading when trying to understand true intimacy satisfaction. And at this point, the narrative introduces a crucial turning point, a question that naturally arises in the viewer's mind. If words cannot always be trusted in this context, then what signals can actually be trusted? What behaviors reveal genuine satisfaction? And how can a man understand if he is truly connecting with his partner on a deeper level? And this curiosity leads into 3 key psychological signs that are presented not as rules, but as behavioral indicators that often appear when genuine satisfaction and emotional connection are present. The first sign is initiation, and this is explained in a very grounded way. Because when a woman actively initiates intimacy frequently, it often reflects comfort, desire, and positive association with them. Experience. Not as a rare event, but as a consistent pattern where she takes the lead in a significant portion of intimate moments. And this behavior is important because initiation requires internal motivation. And internal motivation usually comes from genuine enjoyment rather than obligation or passive participation. And in real life, this might look like a partner who does not always wait or respond, but sometimes creates the moment herself, whether through subtle gestures, closeness, or direct signals. And over time, this pattern builds a strong psychological clue that the experience is mutually fulfilling rather than one-sided. But the narrative does not stop there, because it introduces a deeper layer of interpretation, cautioning that initiation alone is not a perfect measurement, but it becomes meaningful when seen consistently over time. And then, the second sign is introduced, which is what happens after intimacy, specifically the desire to cuddle, talk, and stay emotionally close. And here the explanation shifts into human biology and emotional chemistry, describing how, after sexual intimacy, the body releases bonding hormones such as oxytocin, which is often associated with emotional closeness, trust, and attachment. And this creates a natural pull toward connection after physical closeness. But the coach adds an important psychological nuance that many viewers might overlook, which is that orgasm alone does not automatically equal emotional satisfaction. Because a woman can experience physical pleasure yet still feel emotionally disconnected if the deeper need for intimacy is not met. And this is where the concept of emotional fulfillment becomes central. Because for many women, the experience of sex is not only about physical release, but also about feeling seen, valued, and emotionally safe with their partner. And when both physical pleasure and emotional intimacy are aligned, the post-intimacy behavior often reflects it, such as natural desire to stay close, to talk softly, to rest together without urgency to separate. And this is not framed as a demand, but as a natural behavioral outcome of emotional bonding. And in everyday life, this might look like moments after intimacy where instead of distance or silence, there is warmth, relaxed conversation, or a peaceful comfort in simply being together. And this creates a second strong indicator that goes beyond words and into behavior. And then the narrative deepens further into the third sign, which is the overall emotional and physical radiance of the woman in daily life. A more subtle but often noticeable change in energy, mood, and expression. And here, the explanation moves into psychological balance and emotional expression, suggesting that when sexual energy and emotional needs are not fulfilled over time, it can sometimes show up as irritability, emotional distance, or internal frustration. Not as a direct cause and effect, but as part of the complex, the way human emotions are processed and expressed. And when dissatisfaction exists, it may surface indirectly in everyday interactions, sometimes through small arguments, sensitivity to minor issues, or a general sense of emotional tension. But when satisfaction and emotional connection are present, the opposite pattern can appear, where the woman feels more relaxed, more open, and more at ease in her daily presence. And this can manifest as a visible glow, a sense of calm confidence, or a lighter emotional state that others around her can notice. And this is not presented as a superficial judgment, but as an observation of how emotional well-being often reflects outwardly in human behavior. Because people carry their emotional experiences into their expressions, body language, and energy. And so the idea of a glow is really a metaphor for internal emotional balance, rather than just physical appearance. And at this point, the narrative carefully connects all three signs together: initiation, post-intimacy connection, and overall emotional radiance. Not as strict formulas, but as overlapping indicators that help create a more complete picture of intimacy satisfaction. And then it returns to a reflective tone, where the intimacy coach acknowledges that many men may still have doubts about their performance even after learning these signs, which is why she offers additional guidance in the form of deeper questions and self-reflection tools designed to help men better understand their partner's experience and their own role in the relationship dynamic. But rather than overwhelming the audience in a single discussion, she suggests a free PDF report that goes deeper into these questions and invites viewers to explore it through a link. And this moment serves as a natural extension of curiosity rather than a hard interruption, keeping the focus on learning and improvement. And as the narrative approaches its conclusion, it shifts into a broader message about awareness and growth in relationships, emphasizing that intimacy is not just about technique or physical performance, but about emotional intelligence, communication, and the willingness to understand a partner beyond assumptions. And the final takeaway gently reinforces the idea that true connection is built when both people feel safe enough to be honest, comfortable enough to express themselves, and emotionally close enough to stay connected beyond the physical moment. And in closing, the tone softens into appreciation for the viewer's attention, encouraging continued learning about relationships, psychology, and self-improvement. And it ends with a simple invitation to stay engaged with more content. Follow for more insights, and continue exploring the deeper layers of human connection that most people never talk about openly, leaving the viewer with a lingering thought that understanding intimacy is not about guessing correctly once, but about learning to read human behavior over time with patience, awareness, and emotional intelligence. This video is for any man who wants to become his best lover, where you will learn 5 things that women hate, but men still do. And the reason is simple, because nobody ever told you that women do not like them. And after generations of not being allowed to openly talk about sex, many women do not feel empowered to express what they want and what they do not want. And they also avoid hurting a man's ego. So around the world, millions of women endure these experiences, while men keep doing them without realizing she hates them. And that is exactly why I am here. Hello, my love. My name is Magda Kay. I am an intimacy coach, tantra teacher, and founder of the School of Intimacy. Welcome to my channel, the best place to get insights, tips, and techniques for a more fulfilling and exciting intimate life. The first thing is when you finger her too intensely and too early, because this is something that must be built up to slowly like a main dish. You do not start dinner with it. The problem is that it does not feel good when rushed. It is too intense for her body to relax into, and not only does she not enjoy it, it can actually make orgasm impossible because with strong stimulation before she is ready, her body tightens and contracts, which is the opposite of what a woman needs to reach orgasm. Number 2 is skipping foreplay. And you might think you are doing foreplay already, but chances are it is still not enough, because the main issue is that men see foreplay as a warm-up before sex, while in reality, what you call foreplay is already sex for her. So she actually needs foreplay for your foreplay, if that makes sense. And this is about letting her fully relax, drop into her body, and become aroused enough to receive you inside her. And this is not 5 minutes, not even 10 or 15. Sometimes it can be half an hour or more. and on stressful days, even longer. But skipping it or making her feel like she takes too much time will shut her down completely. And trust me, love, we really dislike that, and you will not see her again. Number 3 is ending everything the moment you ejaculate, because male and female arousal works very differently. Women are like water, they need time to warm up, but also time to cool down, while male sexuality is more like fire, fast to ignite and quick to finish. So by the time a man ejaculates, most women have not yet reached orgasm. And even if they have, they often still do not feel fully satisfied. And during sex, women also release bonding hormones that make them feel emotionally connected. So if you suddenly disconnect right after ejaculation, it feels like abandonment, and it feels really bad for her. Number 4 is putting pressure on her to orgasm. Because first of all, sex can still be deeply enjoyable for a woman even without orgasm, since connection, love, depth, and intimacy matter just as much, and sometimes even more. So even if you have good intentions, constantly asking, "Did you come?" or "How was it?" creates pressure that makes orgasm even harder. And when men become obsessed with it and repeat things like, "Come for me, baby," it feels even worse because it turns her experience into performance and makes it about your ego. And women really hate that feeling of pressure. And the last point is assuming that you already know what she likes. Now, in society, you are expected to know because women often do not speak up and many of us are not used to expressing it clearly. And we also expect men to magically understand our bodies, which puts you in a difficult position. But just because something worked with other women does not mean it will work with this one. And even then, not every past woman actually liked it, because many of us stay silent to avoid emotional discomfort and simply accept what we do not enjoy instead of speaking up. So do not assume, and do not override her if she says, "No, I do not want that." Because she knows what she wants to experience. And if you create a safe space where she can openly communicate, you will actually become her best lover. Because we want to express what we love and what we do not. We just rarely do. And also remember that every woman changes, because what she likes today may be different next week due to hormones and emotions. So the best approach is to stay open, ask questions, suggest things, but never force. And these are 5 things women truly dislike. And if you stop doing them, your woman will deeply appreciate it. And now that you know what not to do, the next step is learning what to do to give her the best experience. And I have a free gift for you, a list of things women absolutely love. And if you start doing them, she will love you for it. It is completely free. Just sign up below so I know where to send your PDF guide. The link is under this video, my love. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like it and subscribe for more. And click the bell icon so you get notified when I upload next. And if you want more personal content, follow me on Instagram where I post daily and share more of my life. Again, my love, do not forget to download your free guide with 6 things that will make her happiest in bed with you. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!